This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, and welcome back to Realistic Sustainability. I'm Mike, and I am here with Nick.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's good afternoon, isn't it? Or
No,
it's
11:12.
That's still morning?
Yes, AM is morning, brother.
Oh, I thought Jamie was wrong, but okay, whatever. Good morning. I wanted to tell you
edit that out.
Oh,
Thought Jamie was wrong. That'll be the one time she listens to us.
No, she does occasionally listen to us. It's just her morning is around 10 to noon.
Oh, okay. So this is the difference. Or people that think morning is when they wake up. That's not true. Morning has no reflection on when you wake up. Otherwise, everyone's morning is different. Contraire, morning is morning, night is night, evening is evening, evening is night. It's like it is what it is, but it is not afternoon at 11 o'clock.
Well,
because noon is 12. Afternoon is after 12.
Yeah, I spent my whole life thinking afternoon wasn't a quantified state. That afternoon was after morning. Yeah, I know it says noon, but it was one of those, I was this many years old when I figured it out, and it was late 20s.
Yeah, so most people use afternoon as a metaphor for after hangover, and that's not accurate. Not even remotely close.
Ladies and gentlemen, a PSA from Tipsy Nick.
That's right. Tipsy Nick is here. Not really. It's too early for me to drink.
So I couldn't, because not only did I get home from work at midnight last night, my first conference call started at 7, so I am a little tired, but I also got to go to the very first of the year meetings for Edible Landscape this morning. So we built our schedule and some of our plans that we are working on for here in Durand to ramp up Edible Landscape a little bit. We've got additional donors who would like to put more into the city beyond what Blackmore Row gave us.
Awesome. That's great.
So now I get to possibly design some raised beds, maybe some rain barrels with drip systems, something that might be pretty cool here in Durand.
It could be. I think that the rain barrels might have. You're really going to have to do something to make that sexy. Before we start recording, you and I were talking about like podunk, hillbilly, things that like have their place. And when I think of rain barrels, any kind of barrel, whether it's the big kind full of chemicals or it's just an oil drum, they just scream hobo campfire to me. I don't know why. And not like real life. I'm talking like the cliche stuff you see in movies. Like, someone, a really, well-off person goes to an impoverished neighborhood and they go around the alley and there's a bunch of people huddled around one barrel, and it doesn't make sense, but that's what I think of when you say rain barrels. I know it's ridiculous, but they just got to be pretty, Michael.
The rain barrels are going to be like mine, like the rain barrel I have at home. Like not an actual, like an oil drum, but nice barrels. We do have to raise them up. Or actually, what I would like to do is put education on them. Explain to people the advantage of using rain barrel, how much it can collect in a year, and all these different things on a plaque that's on the barrel, so that when people walk over and look, they can see it.
I have an idea for that, and I don't know how it would go. And I'm not suggesting it for Durand, but could you set a rain barrel system up and connect it to, let's say, an above ground, like decorative pond, like a koi pond or something, and have the other somewhere in the bottom of the pond have a slow release valve that, lets out the water that's, dirtied with like the poop and stuff?
You're just trying to build a filtering system. Absolutely, you could, but it requires pumps.
Well, it's the opposite. It's not a filtering system. I mean, it's not filtering the water as it's replacing the water. What it's doing is pulling the waste out of the area where you would use that in theory as fertilizer for whatever you're watering.
Oh, you mean you're using the algae and the things that grow within the pond so that you can use that to dump it on plants and get extra nutrients?
I don't know if it'd be too rich and it would hurt the plants or the soil, or how it would work. I don't know much about that kind of stuff. It just popped in my head while you were talking.
Interesting concept. See, every time we talk about edible landscape, there's always something cool that happens in the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Well,
the
I like the topic.
Well, and we're talking about putting in, because of last year's lessons learned, we're talking about putting in a pumpkin patch and a watermelon patch so people don't pick them way too early thinking they're one or the other. So it should be very easy for me to hit that 1,000 pounds of fruits and vegetables this year if I get 2 large patches with watermelon and pumpkins.
I think that, yeah, well, no, it definitely should be easy. I don't understand why people could get watermelons and pumpkins confused, but it is
So
what it
remember,
is.
when a pumpkin starts to grow, it's green.
Yeah, I know,
And
and they're shaped different, and the texture's different, and they look different.
And I'm sure they were very disappointed when they picked it, brought it home, and cut it. But it happened. So we have to kind of readjust some things. So we're just going to have a pumpkin patch. We're going to have a watermelon patch and like a red-green system. If the sign is red, please don't pick. When we switch it to a green sign, have at it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Red sign no, green sign go.
Yep. So, anyways, I was excited because I got to do that this morning. I'm also very excited because this week is another Nick's holiday special of Unsustainable Holidays.
It is.
It is, and it wasn't on the agenda. I snuck this in today for you.
Well, to be fair, you're right. It wasn't on the agenda, but when I was rattling off the ideas for these holiday ones, this was one of the primary ones we talked about because it's ridiculous.
So I get to help you relieve those stresses. See, I love how this is kind of turned into your stresses and not just mine on sustainability.
I don't know if I'd call it stress as more of an annoyance or a frustration. It doesn't. Lots of things stress me. I am a stressy Bessie, but this just annoys me, and I need people to understand this. I have no problem buying my wife something that she's gonna love, or making her something, or taking her out for a delicious meal. I have no problem with like the meaning of Valentine's Day. I have a tremendous problem with how stores go about it. It's Oh my god, the amount. Did you pull any stats for me that I can be like, yeah, that makes sense? Like how
Oh,
many
I did.
ridiculous gift cards are made for this holiday? How many are wasted? How many envelopes we go through? How many trees had to die in the name of love?
How is it that a holiday purely designed around love of a spouse or partner becomes so unsustainable?
Well, you want a real answer for that,
Well,
or a
probably.
sarcastic one?
But we haven't been sued yet, so
Sarcastic it is. So how is it a holiday can be about the birth of Christ and be ridiculously unsustainable? How is it a holiday about the rebirth of Christ and the rising of him be so unsustainable? How is it that a holiday centered around a dead turkey can be so unsustainable? Mike, if there's a reason to celebrate, there is a reason to destroy our earth. That is the way I think they think.
well, the US loves Valentine's Day
Yes, it does.
because they get a shot in the arm in the economy at the tune of $23.9 billion
I am not surprised.
additional is spent in the economy, and that the average person who is celebrating, obviously not everybody celebrates, although people try to get an opportunity to celebrate because dating sites go up 33% between February 1st and February 14th, and after February 14th it's like the marble fell off the table.
It's almost so. I bet you could correlate those numbers to like the same people who join a gym January 1st, and how many are going to the gym by the end of January. That's amazing. I don't want to be alone for Valentine's Day. 2 weeks later, oh, me and pizza again.
It was an interesting stat, but there was a stat that showed 33% jump in that 14-day span, and then drops right back off, even lower than it started after February 14th.
Of all the waste we're going to be discussing, that is the most ecologically friendly, because all they're wasting is their money and their time, and there's no carbon footprint for a broken heart, unfortunately. I mean, not that I want there to be a carbon footprint, but
I feel like I think you just created an episode, because there is huge carbon footprints for online use, for computer, online, internet systems, all these things that we use online. That's why Bitcoin is grossly unsustainable, because it uses so much along the networks. And,
Mhm.
and if you go on websites that talk about sustainability, Bitcoin's a big topic, and that's why. So maybe you just came up with a whole nother show.
If we're talking about, you're right, but if you're talking about crypto, you're probably talking about gas fees and that other stuff, and you're not wrong. But the footprint that technology and data leaves in terms of that kind of stuff, majority of it, not including crypto, I'm not talking about crypto, majority of that is used to maintain it and sustain it. I don't think that the flux of people logging on to join, eHarmony or, Christian Mingle in February are influencing that one way or the other. They might be, but whether or not that flash happens, they're still going to be there. Now, you take away enough of those flash moments throughout the year, and maybe they won't be there. I still think it's better than the amount of Hallmark cards that get wasted.
So let's I've noticed since we've been doing these shows after I've been back, I always have like a raspy voice worse than usual, so I'm gonna have to clear my throat every once in a while. Anyways,
that's good. Between you and me screwing up, you have plenty to edit out.
The people who are successful on those websites and everybody else that has spouses and partners on average spend $175 on Valentine's Day.
So if they're spending $175, that tells me they're getting flowers, chocolate, a ridiculous stuffed animal, and probably going out to Applebee's.
Fancy like that, huh?
Oh, Oreo shakes and all. It's primarily, I'd be willing to bet most of that's the age group from like, I'd say 16 to like 30. It's probably younger kids, young adults that really take it more seriously, because at some point when you're married or with someone for a long time, those holidays stop to lose their luster, because you shouldn't need a reason to buy your spouse flowers. It shouldn't be, it's February 14th, it's National Flower Day. That's really what they should call it, National Flowers and Cheap Chocolate Day. Which, ironically enough, why flowers in the middle of February? Why not do this in like June or May? The end of May, early June? Like, I don't know, when everything's in bloom?
Well, because you could go outside and pick your own. And remember,
I know.
Down south, it is still in bloom.
You're right. Down south is still in bloom. You are absolutely right. I shouldn't be so self-centered. I'll be better. Not everyone has snow, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I'm in Michigan. My point stands.
Fair enough. And I think you understand why, if you're going to have a flower holiday, you don't have it during spring when everything is blooming. It's just too darn easy. But it's funny. It's not even where we spend the bulk of our money. So before I get into exactly what kind of things we buy, I'm going to give you the easiest question ever asked. Who spends more on Valentine's Day, men or women?
Who spends more?
Yep.
Oh, that's easily men. It's not even a question. Not even. It's not even. And they spend more on Sweetest Day, and that one's supposed to be for them too.
The average amount spent by a man is about $235, where the average woman spends about $119.
Doesn't surprise me.
Which, that's supposed to average out roughly where the normal person was. So a gentleman will spend nearly 2 times more.
Yeah. And so, oh my God, how do I take this? Sorry, folks. My brain is buffering. I'm trying to figure out, we're going to take this conversation that's kid friendly. They spend more for a number of reasons. One is a certain social obligation, because if you do a good job, she's going to tell her friends, and everyone's going to ooh and ah, and you're going to feel like the big strong man because you got her a good gift that she loves. On the flip side of it, there is dinner and that, like that moral obligation. And then there's the hopes of being thanked later. And I don't know how else to say any of that other than it's ridiculous. I think that if you have got like a real good, strong marriage, that shouldn't be something that you worry about. But,
right.
Roadhouse.
Right. So Americans spend a ridiculous amount of money on this holiday, which means there's a tremendous amount of production happening purely for this day. One of those things, and the highest thing. So what do you think we spend the most on?
Hold on. Do you mean like the consumer spends the most buying, or like what gets the most spent on it when it's being produced?
What I'm saying is of all the things that could be bought on a regular basis on Valentine's Day, the total dollar amount, which item that is commonly purchased brings in the most revenue?
Cheap necklaces or earrings. It's not even a question.
Ding, 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 ding. Jewelry. Jewelry hits number 1. Congratulations. You're killing the questions this week. $6.2 billion in new
Well,
jewelry
well,
goes
I
out
mean,
every year.
what do you think? You can go to I used to say Kmart, but that doesn't happen anymore. But you can go to the mall and you can go to any jewelry store, and they always have them right in the middle of the mall. Walk in, and every guy does the same thing. Oh, that's really pretty. They give you a price you don't like. What's in that case? You go to the clearance case, and you buy like you spend $75 maybe or $50 on a nice pair of earrings that are cubic zirconia and are really teeny tiny diamonds. And yeah, you go on with your day. It happens every year. A lot of people do it. I'm not knocking that. I just like I don't know. It's like a moth to the flame, man. It's a broken record.
So let's keep playing this game a little
Mm.
bit because you're doing really well.
Thanks. I hope I get a gold star at the end.
Oh, I don't have any available, but we'll
Print
work
me
on
one.
it. Well, I can send it over the internet. Then we don't have to print.
Oh, but I like the printer. I like the 3D printer. I'll put it next to my
Oh,
dragon's egg.
well, I forgot about the 3D printer. So, what is the second most thing that we spend on? And it accounts for anything that happens in Valentine's Day.
Food. Food is an all-encompassing topic for me. Whether dinner, chocolates, it's food.
You have a very lucky wife because you've got this stuff nailed down. I think you've actually studied this or something. Dining is number 2.
I don't know how you think I have a lucky wife. I've spent nothing but the last half an hour talking about how much I dislike it. I may know all this information. Doesn't mean I adhere by it.
$4.3 billion. And about a third of the people who celebrate Valentine's Day dine out that day. We tend to dine out on a day, not that day. Like if Jamie and I go to dinner, we try to do the day before, the day after. We just pick a different day and call it Valentine's Day because it is packed in every restaurant you want to go to.
So you're right. I would like to see more current statistics, not necessarily on this, but on dining out in general since it's almost borderline pre-COVID, but since COVID started, because it seems like every restaurant conceivable that can have a wait almost always has a wait every night to eat. From Applebee's all the way to steakhouses. Not fine dining, because if it's fine dining, you have reservations. But like literally, I can't remember the last time Heather and I went out to eat for dinner and didn't have a wait, a half an hour wait, 45-minute wait. It doesn't matter if we go at 5 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I really feel like people are just eating out more. I really do.
Probably when you get cooped up for so long, it's like everybody wants an event. And when we decide to go dining, if you will, or what I would call fine dining, we do go to places that have reservations. I'll plug it. I love Adiamo's in Fenton, so that's one of the places that we'll go. They have a great selection, and it's something that's the place where I had the first vegetarian meal that I just fell in love with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things we like to do. We have a hard time going right on Valentine's Day because it's just brutal. It feels like a blood sport.
Well, yeah, but why would you want to? Why do you want to move your whole life around to go on a day? Because, like I said, your social moral says you have to. Like, why? Why? It doesn't matter. Personally, for me, and I know that every couple's different. Like, I could give a crap less what you do on February 14th. I don't understand. Today's what? Today's Tuesday, so that puts it on. That's 6 days away. So Monday. It's a Monday this year.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to go out and get liquored up and have a great time on a Monday? I mean, most of us want to get liquored up on a Monday anyways, but like not outside of our houses.
Another sponsored by Tipsy Nick.
Yeah, well, I do what I can.
So you have all these meals being produced, all this dining going on, which honestly isn't the worst thing that can happen for Valentine's Day. The jewelry thing is not awesome, but and I won't make you guess the rest, but
you can. I'm here.
Maybe you know what? Let's go until you lose. What's the next thing? You're right. Until you lose, we should keep going. I got 2 more.
Paper products, cards, gift bags.
Finally, you didn't get it right. It's flowers. We spend $2.3 billion in the United States alone on flowers.
Nothing says I hate money more than watching it die on my windowsill. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, and okay. I am an advocate for buying plants. I'm an advocate for buying plants that flower, that are planted still.
Yeah, but we're not talking about live flowers. We're talking about essentially decapitated plants. We're talking about someone buying the flowers, not the plant. I mean, I'm sure that like people do give plants away, but I bet you if somewhere in this world, if there is a statistic that some place has done and you hear this, please let us know. I would bet you per capita more flowering plants, like rooted potted plants, are sold on Mother's Day to moms and grandmothers than Valentine's Day by a
Oh,
huge
easily.
margin.
I bet that's a pretty solid bet. But I do like, so when I do talk about flowers, if you're listening and you want to get people flowers, get them a plant that flowers that's potted, because that's something that stays alive, something that's in your household. It helps filter your air. It does all these wonderful things
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
year after year after year. You can just put the card back on the same plant every year where it flowers on Valentine's Day. I'm
That'll go
kidding.
well.
Jamie, I love you. I'm kidding. So there's that. And again, I prefer something that gets to continue to grow, not slowly die on your table. But I also understand that houses can become cluttered with plants, or so I'm told. That there is a such thing as too many live plants in a house, which I have never really considered to be a thing. But apparently, I've been told by others that you can have too many live plants in your home.
Okay, this is the PSA from Michael. He is trying to somehow tell you not to buy plants. I don't know why.
No.
He's trying to tell you to go on the other stuff you get on Valentine's Day. What's going on, Mike?
No. I prefer live plants, but I understand if people do get some flowers, but there are better ways of handling it. The other one that there is no good way that I can think of other than getting it local is the candy. The candy's a dumpster fire. It is primarily packaging. It has very little candy in it, and it's not good candy. And we spend $2.2 billion in Valentine's Day branded candy.
So
that's not even all the candy. That's just the kind that they put in the silly little hearts with cellophane.
No, it goes a little further than that. It's not just that. Valentine's Day branded candy, it dips into other brands of candy that do holiday versions, because those are the things that go like 70% off on February 15th in the candy aisle. Bags of Hershey's Kisses that are hearts and that kind of crap. What I find funny about that, though, is there is a huge amount of ladies in this world that live for that candy. And I don't even necessarily mean because it's all pretty in the red, but what I mean is that they just like it. They like that cheap milk chocolate. We were given some by one of Heather's clients at work. They gave her like this big box. It was, I don't know, probably 5 dozen pieces of chocolate, probably 60 pieces in there, like 2 of each one. So maybe like 25, 30 varieties. And like some of them were legit delicious and some were dumpster fires. But if you dumped all that on the table, you could probably like fill my coffee cup with them. And you got this box. It's almost 2 feet wide by 2 feet long. And you open the box, you have like this foam insert, take that off. Then you get a menu, a piece of paper that has a little drawing of everything on there, which this is like, wax coated paper or plastic coated. Take that off. Then you have the tray that holds all the chocolate. And then you literally repeat every step I just said. You take that off. There's that same menu. There's that same insert. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I love my wife to death, and if she gets candy, she gets the ones I know she likes. She's not getting the variety pack heart thing. Isn't for me.
Mike's walking in the door with that 20-pound Kit Kat. He buys in bulk because he loves in bulk.
Costco moment, but that is more waste than anything other than the flowers. I mean, on top of the fact that chocolate itself is a high energy intensive product. So you have a high energy, extremely high embodied energy item, a luxury item like coffee and chocolate are, in an atrocity of sustainability nightmares.
Layers and layers of embodied energy.
That is just, this is the time of year I walk into stores and I leave slightly cranky because I see that. On top of the fact that I don't do greeting cards. I just can't do greeting cards. I jokingly want to cross out names and send the same greeting card back to someone else and stuff like that. I don't do greeting cards. And in this holiday, 151 million cards, a $500 million worth of cards will be sold. Read once and thrown away.
That's sold. I want to see the number how many are produced.
Yeah,
you got to figure when you go into that aisle, even if they just do a small stand that holds 50 cards, there's like 30 in each slot. I mean, there's tons there. And okay, so if what was that number you said? You say 150 million, 100 what million?
151 million greeting cards and about $500 million.
Okay, so does that include? That's just the amount of greeting cards. Does that statistic include the? Does it count the envelopes that go with them?
No,
Well, there you go.
no. And so everybody and who knows me knows I don't like greeting cards. Jamie gets a note. Sometimes it's even on a napkin, like whatever scrap piece of paper. It's never something pretty. When I want to say something or have something written, I just grab whatever's around me and I use it. But that's me, and
All
she
right,
knows it's me.
I got one for you. Okay, you have to
Mhm.
plan this. Or I'm planning it, but you have to do it. Okay, you take a consumer's bill. Take a back Sharpie, cross off the total on the back. You write roses are red, violets are blue. I paid this bill because I love you.
No, I'm not doing that.
That'd be
There's no way
hilarious.
I'm doing that.
You're not paying the bill? Why not?
Well, I pay the bill. I just
Well,
don't
there you go.
know.
Come
So
on.
here's how we know that at least Americans have lost control of the holiday. That in 2019, it was estimated 43 million people got a gift they didn't even want.
Um,
That's $9.5 billion and crap people didn't want to receive.
I'm trying to unpack the very beginning of this. Lost control of the holiday.
Well, it's just that it becomes a
But
consumer holiday and not anything to do with caring for the other person.
it happens the day they're created. It's just ridiculous. Like, okay, so here's a legit honesty from a husband and from a man and as from a parent. I truly believe that there is a humongous amount of us. I can't put a number on it because it'd be BS anyways, because I don't know what number it is, but a tremendous amount of us that don't want the flashy, pizzazzy, super expensive stuff that we don't want. Because really, when you're given a stuffed animal or something for Valentine's Day, you're like, great, now I'm held by guilt to keep this. I don't want it. I'm a 35-year-old man. I'm a 40-year-old woman. Like, what am I going to do with this stuffed bear or a stuffed moose with a heart on it? We'd rather just have something from the heart. Like those little cutesy notes you're talking about, obviously not my consumer's joke, but I would think that was hilarious. But something from the heart, something means something. Take the day off work. I mean, spend some time together. Unexpected trip doesn't have to be a lot of money. Go drive the coast. Go do something that's scenic and beautiful. And I understand that what I'm suggesting obviously has more of a carbon footprint too. But my point is spend time together. Make a memory. Don't spend your money on trinkets that don't matter because you're supposed to.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to go because, and we'll get to some things that we can do to make Valentine's Day a little better because I think there's ways of doing that. And it isn't getting the random gift no one wants because you laugh when I say we lost control of the holiday.
I laughed at that it was even a notion of control for the holiday. That's why I thought it was funny.
On Valentine's Day, Americans spend almost $900 million on their pets for Valentine's Day. Now, let me say this. If you're gonna spend it, go to How About It Bakery. they have great treats. That's okay. But that's how we've seemed to have lost touch. We're spending all this money on cards. We're spending all this money on flowers and candies and all these things. Is it really still about the person you're giving it to?
No, it's a social obligation. That's why I said that earlier. It's you're doing it because you feel like or you're a program that you're supposed to. And then to make matters worse, the other part I said about like you want to when you do it, you want to do it right because you know that she's going to show her friends, and then you don't want to be the guy that gets talked about with a negative connotation or the girl who is unappreciative. I honestly think there's just a lack of honesty. I think, as I just said, all guys, we're buying this useless junk. There needs to be more significant others that step up on both sides and say, hey, I really appreciate this, but I really don't want it either. It's
Right.
hurtful and it sucks, but I think if that communication was there, it would probably cut back on the spending a lot.
Well, and 41% of Americans would rather get the gift of an experience than an item.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
And it's not even necessarily a secret. Like, I know Jamie would much rather go do something. Now, does life always permit it? No. Did I plan far enough ahead to make that happen? No. But most people would rather go do something. That's where dining comes in. That's at least that category is part of the experience.
Mm, yeah, that's That's kind of a scapegoat.
It is.
Like, what do you want to do? Well, we both got to eat. Nice planning, bud.
But getting away, doing a weekend, even just going to a friend's out of town or something that you would both enjoy is a Valentine's gift. It is part of the appreciation that you're showing to the other person.
The best part, or I shouldn't say best part, the best thing I think you can do for anyone that you love is take time out of your life to show them how much they mean to you by making it about them. Doesn't mean you have to spend money per se, because every person's different. Every person, considers things different. They like certain things a little more differently than the rest of us. I love movies. I love going to the movies. So, or just sitting down and watching films. I just find movies to be kind of like really entertaining. For Ironically enough, my wife is a book reader. She's a book person. I am not. I will read if I have to. When I don't know, my brother decides to write another book, but that's you. But she loves books. I like movies. I am perfectly happy sitting there taking a little time off work. Maybe I make us a nice meal. We sit down and watch a movie. That's great for me. If sometimes what did we do a couple weeks ago? Went to Barnes and Noble, I think it is, by the mall, that big bookstore, and we went and bought a bunch of books that she's been looking for, and she was a happy camper. She loved it, and because I'm kind of creative in the sense I can write poems and that kind of stuff, but if they're not for an actual reason, I don't consider Valentine's Day a reason. They're kind of soulless, and at that point, I might as well just be trying to sell them to Hallmark.
Right. Well, and I'm not that creative. I try sometimes, but I'm not capable of the kind of creativity. See, you got all the creative genes.
Not true. I don't like jeans. I prefer sweatpants.
Okay. Well, fair enough. So there are things we can do. And obviously the first thing is try to buy things local, because you got to know that all these candies and all this extra packaging, they're coming from all over the place. It's just, if we did an embodied energy total on one of those heart-shaped packages the size of my head versus twice that amount here in town, you would know darn well that we could get an immense amount here locally for the same energy as that one little heart package.
You're right. And what says I love you more than buying one of 500 identical heart-shaped boxes of chocolate that Walmart sold? Oh, wait, no, I meant less. Either
You're
way.
right.
But my point is, what I'm trying to say though, what I'm trying to emphasize is that if you're gonna go buy chocolates for your significant other, go to a local chocolate shop. Get something that they put together, something that something they're offering, something that's actually kind of special and has soul and heart and meaning into it. There's a place in Essexville called it used to be called the Sweet Boutique. I don't know what it's called now, but it's fantastic. Or Petite for Pastry up there too. They have amazing cheesecakes and cakes and small little pastries that you can get, in a half dozen, all dressed up and pretty with ribbons, and still a sustainability nightmare, but not quite the amount of embodied energy as something that's being mass produced and shipped 500 miles for you to buy for $5.99.
Right. Well, also try to get something they actually want.
Yeah, that's cake. You're out into something, Michael.
Something they may use, something, what have you heard recently them say, oh, I wish I had this. But you keep those mental notes, and you can theme it if you would like, but get something that the person you care about wishes they had, but wouldn't get for themselves. Hopefully still something you can get local, something that either way, as long as it's being used on a regular basis, we're getting the embodied energy out of it.
Okay, so I'm gonna look at this in two perspectives. I do want to try to nail both sides of this. When it comes to, as a man, buying something for my wife, I try to find things that she will use, but also just flat out likes that she wants. I think this year, she's not going to hear this, I'm going to try to get her a new pair of cowboy boots. She wears these boots outside to do everything. She tends to chickens with them, and she's wanted one for months, and we haven't had the money, so I'm going to try to make it happen. They're like $170 a pair. They're not cheap. As to where, as a guy, generally the only things that I really want are some type of tool. It could be a tool for outside. It could be a new socket setter. It could be a kitchen device. And Heather and I were just talking about this the other day. The thing about men is that the things you buy men, they don't use very often. But when they have to use it or they need it, they don't want to have to go buy or rent or borrow it from someone else every time. So we were looking at, regutting my kitchen. I mean, I have so many kitchen things. And she's like, well, you don't ever use it. And I was like, well, yeah, you're right, babe. I don't use this immersion blender every day, but I don't want to have to go buy another one when I do need it. I'll just put it up in the cupboard, and when I need it, it's there. And
Mhm.
tools in your garage are the same way. Like, let's say you have a miter saw or a table saw. Are you going to use that every single day? No. But when you need to go cut something, I bet you're happy you have it.
Well, I think Jamie probably would use she uses her tools almost every single day.
Okay. Ugh, you had to bring in your Jacqueline of all trades wife here.
Which, by
Shoot
the
my
way, we're
point to
going to get our
smithereens. What?
we're having a hand-me-down refrigerator given to us, as you know, and that ours is coming here to dabble. But in preparation for that, by the time I was home from work, she had already cut out the extra space and made it look nice and pretty. She just should just be a contractor at some point.
Well, I guess, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So other things that you can do, give a plant, not as you call decapitated flowers.
Well, there's so many aspects that makes those bad. I mean, you really think about it. So yeah, you're buying a dead plant. That sucks. It's wrapped in plastic. That sucks. A lot of those plants are actually white and they're dyed different colors. That sucks times three. Let alone the places they came from or the flower shops they could have came from. Like it's frustrating. Oh, and the plastic pitchforks that look like Satan's tool in there with the little cards that mean nothing. The instructions on how to take care of them and keep them alive or dying slower. The plant food wrapped in our layer of plastic, like it's really terrible. It really is.
Well, what's funny is I do buy flowers for Jamie, not on holidays. I don't do flowers for any specific reason. Every once in a while, I just go get her a bouquet of flowers. It can't be on a holiday. It can't be. It's just how it works. And we collect all the plastic pieces because I get it here at a local shop with a local owner, and we give them back because they just go on plants. A little bit of water in a tube, we give all that stuff back because we don't need to keep it and we don't want them to buy more.
Yeah, there's no reason to keep it, and I mean, there's no reason to throw it away. It's perfectly good. It's not like it's something that's going to go bad from being poked in dirt and pulled out.
Yep, I request no cellophane unless it's cold outside because you got to protect them getting them home. It would just you can ask to not have some of that stuff, and they won't. They're happy to not put it in there because
They're
shoot,
gonna you're gonna pay the price, and they get to give you less. Of course, they're happy.
right? And I'm okay with that. I am a local shop guy, anyways. I like going to the local shops. I like dealing with the owners and stuff like that. But so that's what I do. And then I collect all those things that I get from them and take it back to them so they can reuse them. There's nothing wrong with that. And those owners are very appreciative. So that's another thing that you can do to help minimize your footprint for something you may still want to do. I also liked what you were saying about going to the candy shops. There's not that many around, but you can still go to these specialty shops and get really good candies made on site. Same thing with bakeries and bake shops, where you can go get something very nice, a cake or even just cupcakes or something like that. And much better than running to a big box store and getting the random things you see.
Well, I just think that I think it's more personal, and it's undoubtedly more delicious. And sometimes, yeah, it might cost a little more, but you're actually getting more for your money. It's a better product. You're not. I guess for me, I don't like the big things from like Walmart and Myers and these big box stores. I don't like these generic produced things where you buy a big package and you get like nothing for it. I'm trying to think, what did I get years ago? It wasn't Valentine's Day. It was on Father's Day. But my one of my kids bought me this Reese's bear. It was a stuffed bear. Had had a Reese's thing on it. Came wrapped around a big Reese's ceramic mug, and was all wrapped in plastic. And there's this little window, and it looks like it's full of all these candies. And we're like, oh, this is going to be amazing. So you open up everything, and there's like four Reese's pieces, little cup things, like four. There's four tiny cups, just enough to see through that plastic cellophane. And so we're looking at this, and it's this great honestly, the cup was cool. The coffee cup was great. I used it for a long time till it broke, fortunately. That kind of stuff doesn't have to be made. It was great that my kid gave it to me. I was very happy to receive it. It was the thought that counted more than the item. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And I think that maybe if the thought matched the item, it'd be a little better. Because the thought, listen, your instincts to take care of the ones you love, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. I think we would all benefit if we did it from someplace a little more locally that gives you better stuff.
Well, and that's part of that sustainability education. I think it was season 2 we talked about how to get sustainability into K through 12, because I think if kids understood it better, they would be less apt to just run over and get a thing than they would be to think about what you would really enjoy and find a way to accommodate.
I agree. When I worked at this place called the Old Christmas Station in Frankenmuth, my boss was always just on our hind end, like ridiculing us about the coffee cups we used, and we go to the gas station, get the foam cup, and she would just beat us into the ground over this kind of stuff. She's like, I don't understand, because she wasn't from here, she was from Switzerland. She's like, I don't understand Americans. She's like, you take this beautiful beverage and you drink it from paper. Halfway through, it's soggy, or it's breaking down on your lips, and the fibers are cut. It's just disgusting. Why not wait and get it out of a beautiful, clean ceramic mug that it's just quality. You take a drink, touches your lips, and she's like, perfection. Put it back, use it again tomorrow. But she was like that about everything. It didn't matter what you got her on a roll about. Talk about Christmas. Oh my gosh. I wish we could have her on the podcast for holidays. She would talk for hours about, like, I would never buy my kids that stuff. I would go to a local toy maker. They'd make me something beautiful out of wood from their backyard. The beautiful, soulful, and she'd go on and on and on. And I just thought she was super eccentric. But as I get older, because that was quite a few years ago, I see the point. And I see that she's right. She really is about 90% of it. When you take away the and the and the horrible and all these words that she didn't need to put in there, she had a very solid foundation to her belief system. And she's right. We do have a lot of excessive production in this country we don't need. It's hurting the planet.
Yeah, and it is, well, and she's from Switzerland.
Yeah, she's Swiss.
That's already an instinct in a lot of places, in a lot of other countries. I think some people listen to us from other countries to kind of chuckle about how silly we are in many, many ways.
Oh, undoubtedly. I have no doubt about that at all.
So, okay, I'm going to speed us up a little bit because there's a few more pieces I want to get in before I close this up. But handmade jewelry, if you're going to get jewelry, I guarantee you have people in your Facebook circle or in any of your social medias who make things. Like, you have a friend that has become my friend on social media who makes amazing things.
That's probably Scott.
Scott makes just shockingly cool things.
I don't know to what capacity you've seen what Scott can produce. Scott is the most naturally creative soul of anyone I've ever met. And it doesn't matter what it is. If he finds an art form he wants to express it, he just does it, and he's good at it. No matter what, he does these beautiful wire wrap jewelry. Heather's engagement ring, when I proposed, was a ring that he made. Most of the jewelry I've ever bought for her is from him. He paints, he writes, he draws. Like, he's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And there's all these talented people out there that are making one-of-a-kind items. And I think that should be the first spot we check. There's tons of artists in our towns, in our Facebook circle, all around us, photographers who have, photos they've just taken because they're gorgeous. There's a lot of things that we can get. We can take a look at and, and say, my wife would love that, and get that. Stay out of the big box store and support someone who really actually needs it, is probably the biggest message. I mean, there's things like staycations. There's things like don't use wrapping paper, hide the gift, use a reusable bag, something like that. Maybe go on the experience like we talked about earlier. But if you're going to give a gift, stop for just a moment and see, is there something better?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of times, if we think it through the rest of the way, there is. And we just have to stop for a moment and find those people, those things. Every time we see them on Facebook and you're scroll, take just a second and make a mental check. This person has a bakery. This person makes jewelry. This person paints. And you take that and remember it for these kinds of occasions. Because if you do that, you're getting things local. Your embodied energy of the whole process is low. And I guarantee you, they are going to like it way better than something that everybody else got.
I agree. I think that when someone gets a truly unique gift that they love and it's one of a kind, they get this certain kind of feeling of exclusivity where like this was made for me, this is bought for me, no one else has this, and it makes them feel special. And for ladies love to feel special. Like let's be real, they liked it. They like that. No matter what they say, they like having something no one else has that they like.
Well, talk your trash, but you like to feel special. I like to feel special. We just may not say it out loud as much.
Listen, I feel pretty, I feel witty, I feel pretty, witty, and gay. And yes, I like to feel special. I do. Of course I do. Who doesn't? But I'm we already went over the numbers of who spends more on Valentine's Day. And I'm obviously a guy, so you know why I keep leaning the way I am.
Fair enough. Well, I think we've gotten a good chunk of the understanding of the basics on Valentine's Day covered this week. Hope you guys did enjoy another Nick's Unsustainable holiday. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend or on social media. Other ways you can support realistic sustainability, of course, the monthly sustainer, which you can find on the Greening Your Life webpage or our Anchor site just by searching realistic sustainability on anchor.fm, or simply leave a 5-star review, leave a comment, click a like, interact with the sites that you listen to us on, because that's all recorded. And the more that we're clicked, the more that we're seen. So again, thank you very much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and maybe you took a little bit from it. Now, if you've got something you think is fantastic for Valentine's Day, post it, send it, let us know. I guarantee we've missed things. So remember, we're only getting together each week so that we can get a little bit better. Little bit, big bit. Thank you so much. I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick.
And we will see you next week.
Feeling overwhelmed by climate change? Looking for sustainable and ethical brands to support? Then Ethic is perfect for you. Ethic is a simple browser extension that helps you find sustainable and ethical brands online. Learn more at ethyk.org, ethyk.org.